Good evening, viewers. We have special personality today, Vanda Kewley. Welcome in our show.
Thank you very much.
Vanda, please tell our viewers about your early days and your early days of education.
Okay, so I was born and brought up in Birkenhead, Merseyside. So I was born in 1958, and I was the youngest of quite a big family, and I loathed and detested school. And I wasn't very academically bright, so I struggled. And I left school when I was 16 with 3.5 O-levels, I think, if I lie about it. Yeah, so, I mean, I had a great family, lots of fun, but I really struggled with school and the academic side of things.
And what's about the college and university life?
Well, that kind of, I went to college because by the time I got to 16, I still didn't know, what I wanted to do. And my mum used to say to me, Vanda, if you don't pull your socks up, you're going to end up, working in Woolworths. And so at 16, I went off to college and I did a catering course for 2-3 years, can't remember now. And I sort of blossomed in a way, and I think partly because it was much more practical, and also because you were just treated a bit more like an adult, and not so much like a child. So I did quite enjoy that.
And tell our viewers about your experience, because you said you have learned about the catering. You must have learned some good cooking stuff.
I did. I mean, throughout the course, it was really interesting because you got to do work placements. And so you did a hotel, a hospital, and an industry. So it was quite fascinating working in the different environments. But I'd had this really naive view that, working in the industry was going to be really sort of glamorous and actually it was really hard work. And I suddenly realised that I didn't want to work split shifts for, £2 a day, and that actually maybe I was a bit lazy. So I never actually went into it sort of professionally, but it did teach me really good sort of cooking skills, and I can still do silver service waitress to this day, so I can always fall back on that if everything else fails.
But in cooking show, mostly when we watch the telly, so we see that they have been given a challenge of cooking for 400 people, 300 people, so same type of challenge you have faced?
Yeah, I suppose so. Never under those sort of conditions, and obviously. And I was always, in a kitchen with a fully professional staff, sort of, supporting me and encouraging me and yelling at me. So not quite like those experiences there.
And after finishing university and college, so what was your first job?
Okay, so after finishing college, actually, I went to work in the shipyard, Camel shipyard, and I worked doing admin in the offices, which it was really interesting working in a shipyard at that time. I'd be, 19, very much a male-dominated environment, very few women, and quite challenging in many respects. So I didn't really enjoy it, and I put myself through night school at the time and did sort of an HND in computers and business admin, and then at the end of it got quite a good job. But my father was furious when I left the shipyard because he'd worked there for 20 years as a sheet metal worker, and he said to me, "You'll never be satisfied." So he wasn't very happy about it, but I was quite glad to leave.
So the life in shipyard, because obviously it's a very tough job. It's like a soldier's life or a sailor's life. How you find that experience?
What, working in the shipyard?
Yes.
I didn't find it terribly pleasurable because I suppose I am a bit of an anarchist in a way and quite keen on standing up for myself. And as I say, it was a very male-dominated environment where they weren't used to 19-year-old girls telling them, what they thought and, how things should be run and stuff. So it wasn't always easy going. And it was, up north, and yeah, it was quite tough, really.
And after this experience, what was the next stage?
Yeah, so then I, going back to my mother's prediction, I ended up working for Woolworths. But because I'd put myself through night school, I actually was an internal auditor for them. So it was a fantastic job. I was based at home in Bristol because I moved for work. And then I travelled around the whole of the southwest. So South Wales, Cornwall, Devon, the Channel Islands, Isle of Wight. It was fantastic visiting lots of Woolworths stores and looking at their systems and procedures. So that was quite good fun. Hard work, well paid, nice expense account, business car. It was good fun, yeah.
You have done different role in life, but working with the Citizen Advice Bureau, I believe this was your most challenging job. So please tell our viewers about your experience working with the Citizen Advice Bureau and how you help the people.
Okay. In some respects, I think it was my most challenging job. But in other respects, it was probably my most rewarding as well. It was very challenging in terms of I was sort of a welfare benefits and debt advisor. And I'm sure, as you know, and maybe even more so now, our welfare benefits systems can be quite complicated.
It is.
So it was really challenging giving people the best advice you possibly could. And of course, people don't always necessarily exactly tell the truth about their circumstances either. So it was kind of a bit like being a bit of a detective. It was brilliant, sort of talking to people and drawing them out and finding them out what was really, you know, at the heart of the matter. And then, only then, you know, could you give sort of the best advice. But sometimes it used to break my heart, you know, some of the circumstances that you'd come across with people who'd had a bad time for whatever reason and were really struggling. And I can remember just on my last day in the job, because I got made redundant from the job, which seems bizarre, but anyway, there was... I got a phone call from this lady and I went out to see her and I went in a house and there wasn't a scrap of food in the cupboards and she had no money to put in the meter. So I quickly rustled together a food parcel and gave her a tenner, you know, and that was my last day. So sometimes it was really rewarding and sometimes it was just a bit heartbreaking.
UK is a welfare state, but as you mentioned that the job, especially in Citizen Advice Bureau, you've been redundant. So how these things are affecting the people, job losses, and also the social system difficulties?
Well, it's hard to say, isn't it? And it's hard to generalise because if I look at my own experience of being made redundant several times, okay, I could really, to some extent, I can only talk about my own experience. Whereas the first time, because redundancy was a really sort of unusual thing, and then going through the benefits system, I came out of it feeling quite sort of low about myself and not really confident about how to proceed. And then the second time I went through it, it was like I toughened up a bit and was a bit more, you know, street cred. And the third time, actually, it was a gift because it gave me an opportunity to completely reassess my life. And I realised that actually, these days, there's just no security. So you might as well just go for it and do something that you really love and feel passionate about.
You're helping a lot of unemployed people. Please tell our viewers how you are helping the people because it's quite interesting for them.
Yeah. Well, this is the joy of my life, actually, which was after being made redundant the last time. I thought, OK, so what am I going to do? So I took a bit of time out to think about it. And during that time, I got chatting to somebody who told me about a charity in London called Suited and Booted. So what they do is men are referred through to the charity when they have they're unemployed, they've got the offer of a job interview and they don't have anything suitable to wear and they can't afford to buy anything suitable to wear. So they go along, they're given a styling session and they're given a really beautiful suit, a shirt, a tie and a pair of shoes. And they walk out 6 inches taller and just feeling so much better about their impending job interview. So I volunteered with them for 2 weeks, and it was fantastic. It was just really inspiring. It was hard work, but I just loved it because it was so simple, so practical, and it had such an impact.
I'm going to ask a very secret question.
Okay.
So this suited and booted thing, the clothes, they are refundable or they are non-refundable?
No. The clients get to keep them.
Right.
Yeah. So after doing it for 2 weeks as a volunteer, because I'd had some background in fashion and design and clothing and stuff, I thought, okay, I'm sure that there's a need for this in Sheffield, and I'm going to have a go at setting it up and run it as a pilot and see, how it works as a project in Sheffield. So that's what I've been doing.
And what is your project called?
It's called The Suit Works.
And please tell our viewers how this suit works for the people.
Okay, so pretty much the same as the organisation in London. So clients come to me, they're referred through by other organisations, and it might be a charity, it might be a training organisation, could be a job club, or through the job centres, or some other kind of support organisation. My clients are all ages and all sizes, and the only criteria is that they have to have an offer of a job interview or an interview for maybe an apprenticeship or something of a similar nature. They haven't got anything to wear for it, and they can't afford to buy anything.
There are two dimensions in this setup, or in this scenario I've noted. One is how the organization who are watching our show today can help your organization, and how people can benefit from your organization, especially any unemployed person or any person who is going for a apprenticeship. So there are two ways. So can you please explain and elaborate?
Yes, certainly. Okay. So if people want to come along to use the service, then they just have to find somebody who can refer them through. So as I say, it could be their local job centre, their local job club, if they're working with any support agencies at all. So if they go and talk to them about the Suit Works, then the referral agency can give me a call and we can have a chat about it. I've got a website, and there's an online referral form on the website. So the other side of things is that organisations who are interested in helping, all the clothes are by donation. Most of them are sort of gently worn, pre-worn. Some are new. So I'm always looking for organisations to hold suit drives for me amongst their employees. Or if they would like to, I'm sort of quite interested in companies who'd like to sponsor the Suit Works. Or if they'd like to get involved, maybe come along and do a bit of volunteering, Iron some shirts for an hour.
And where are you based?
At the moment, I'm based in New Masters at Kelham Island, which is a great venue. So, but that's short term. In the longer term, year to 18 months, I'm looking to move back more into central Sheffield. I work alongside a couple of other organisations, other social enterprises. So we're looking to have more central premises sometime. Hopefully with a bit more space.
And anything you want to say to the employer, because obviously everybody who is coming for the job, every employee or prospective employee don't have the same circumstances. So what is your message for them?
For the employer? For the employers?
Yes.
What, when people are coming along for interviews?
Yes. Because obviously you can share your experience.
Yeah, that's quite a tough one. I suppose it's when people walk through the door when those doors open, and somebody walks in, you can't help but make a judgment about how they look. So you just can't help it. And I know myself, I've got a couple of jobs on the basis partly of what I wore for the interview. So I suppose my message is not so much for the employers, but more for the people going along for their interviews. And just say to them, think about what story you're telling when you walk through that door, and just make sure that you're telling the right story.
Any success story recently you have with the youngsters or any unemployed people you want to share with our viewers quickly?
Okay, all right. I can't really say too many details. Oh, I'll tell you a story, not from here in Sheffield, but from a chap I worked down with in London. And he was in his mid-30s. He'd had a really tough upbringing, and he'd had a terrible time. He got involved with gangs down in London, and he'd gone into prison, and he came out and decided he was going to turn his life around. So he'd been involved with drugs and all sorts of stuff. He got a job interview, went along to Suited and Booted. He looked fantastic when he came out. It had a strong impact on him. He got the job, but what he decided to do was to set up a social enterprise to support other kids who'd gone through the same kind of thing as he'd done.
So it means Suited and Booted also given an inspiration to individual.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And any message for our viewers who are watching us today?
Yeah, if anybody is interested in the project and would like to come along and say hello, or if they've got suits, shirts, ties, or in particular shoes they'd like to donate, then give me a call or drop me a message, drop me an email, and I'd love to hear from you.
And what is your success message for the youngsters? Because obviously, if somebody wants to go for a job interview, what is one quick message for them?
Okay, so don't do what anybody else wants you to do. Do what's in your heart and what you want to do. And if you hold that message dear in your heart, then you'll be okay.
Wanda, thank you very much for joining me. Viewers, I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. This was Guest with Nazir. Keep watching Sheffield Live. And if you want to join us or join our team, you can email me. My email is shown on your screen. And keep watching Sheffield Live. Thank you.